Dave, what would you like to see from Walker's 2 innings of work tonight?
I think with Walker, 2 innings, I'd like to see him repeat a delivery. Just make sure he feels good. I don't know, really what to expect of the command. I think the bigger tell would be tomorrow and how he feels coming out of it.
AJ Pollock was just in there talking about the reason that he was delayed, and obviously with what's going on with his little girl, how scary that was. How nice is it just to have that piece back in your puzzle?
It's great. It's great. And, AJ's had a big quarantine period. There's been a lot going on, and his little baby girl is doing considerably well, which is great. But for him to get back with his teammates and play baseball, I know he's elated. And he's been working with his trainer, working with our guys, so he's in great shape. Even in the batter's box, he looks like he hasn't missed much of a beat. So we'll get him out there in the left field. He'll play a little bit of center field, and there's times where we saw Cody go to first base, potentially. But it's good. It's certainly good having him back.
How figured out is your outfield as far as guys getting the bulk of the time in your respective 3 spots?
I don't know if it's, obviously you see Mookie and Cody in center field and right field, but I think for us, the versatility component is important, and not just for left field or second base or wherever. I think it's really important because there's a lot of things that we can't really prepare for as far as what might happen. So, Alanna, I really can't say that right now. Obviously, you can look at the roster, but I'm going to do everything I can to keep guys moving around. And that versatility, I think, is really going to help us win baseball games.
Last question for me, Doc. In a shortened season, how difficult is it to give as many quality players that you have their respective time when rest isn't as much of an issue because the season is cut in, basically more than half?
Yeah, I just think that our mindset has to be, to start the season, we have 30 guys to win 1 baseball game every single night. And, if you're looking at the position players, if you don't start the game, keeping your mind ready, because you can certainly impact the game at any point in time. And vice versa. You start the game, somebody else might come in and relieve you, and it just kind of works every way. So I think that if we're all kind of aligned with that mindset, we'll be just fine, and everyone's numbers will be there and we'll win a lot of baseball games.
Thank you.
Next question is from Ken Gurnick. Go ahead, Ken.
Dave, we haven't seen Joe Kelly in a game in a little while. What's his status?
Joe threw about a 20-pitch bullpen yesterday. We haven't decided in 2 days if he's either going to play in a game, do a simulated situation, or throw another pen. So the ball was coming out good. He feels good today. So, Kenny, I don't know what the next step is. We should know, obviously, by the end of today or tomorrow.
But you still expect him for opening day?
I do.
Next question is from Steve Solivar.
Hi, Dave. As these intra-squad games come to an end, can you put into words what Chico has meant to the team and what he brought to the table?
Chico, I think he's gained some celebrity status, but in the clubhouse, he means a lot. He's a servant first, which I just really admire. He does anything for everyone, and even serving as a left fielder for us. So I think he added a little bit of levity, but he took it very serious, and he was very grateful that we gave him the opportunity. And it was fun. It really was. And I think that it was a short spring or summer camp or whatever, but it was actually a different dynamic, and I enjoyed it.
And lastly, any chance fans will see him taking at bat before it's all said and done?
No, I don't see that happening. And I kind of reneged on my thought that he wasn't going to play again, but I really don't see him taking an impact.
All right, thank you.
Another question from Ken Gurnick. Go ahead, Ken.
Tony Gonsolin, have you decided when he might be able to get into a game?
It's on there somewhere, Kenny. I don't know right offhand. I know he's looked good in his pens. It should be here. I think it's tomorrow. I think he's pitching in a game tomorrow. That's as I recall.
And one more, Scott Alexander.
What's that?
Scott Alexander.
Scott Alexander threw a pen yesterday. Looked really good. So he's throwing 2 pens. I would expect him in a game in one of those exhibitions, maybe 2.
Question from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Dave. That's a handful of guys that you just mentioned who figure to be on your opening day pitching staff. Are you concerned about these guys only essentially getting in one game before things start to count?
It's certainly not ideal, but I think that with certain guys that have pitched in the big leagues for years, you have more confidence that, yes, we haven't checked the boxes that you like to check going into a season, but I think that there's a lot of players in that situation coming off what we've come off. So I think for us, number one, if they're healthy and with the expanded roster, we can certainly watch their workload and manage them accordingly. But yeah, it's, the back-to-backs, the multiple innings, if they're a guy like that, certainly nice to check those boxes, but it's not ideal, but I still feel confident that they'll be ready to go.
I saw Terrence Gore in uniform last night. What's his status, and do you have any other comings and goings player-wise?
So Terrence got in town, and it's good to get him back because obviously he serves a nice role for a ball club as a defensive outfielder, can play all 3, and obviously a base stealer. So to be able to plug him in potentially in a situation to impact the game is a nice piece. So he's here, and we're going to evaluate him for the next week. And as I understand it, Keibert Ruiz will be with us today.
Still on the IL, though.
That I know he's here, but I don't know. I don't know that, Bill. I know he's going to be here. He'll be present, so I don't know if that means he's not on the IL or he's present, but he's still on the IL. I don't know that.
Thanks, Dave.
But,
Next question is from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead, Jorge.
Just off that with Keibert, is he available to play? Can he play tonight for you?
I don't know, certainly. I mean, if he's not on the IL, he potentially could, but he hasn't done a whole lot, so I think that we're going to start him slow and, get him swinging, get him moving, catching some bullpens. That's what I foresee.
Would he be the guy that you have on your taxi squad as the catcher?
We haven't made that decision, but I think right now Keibert's got to, ramp up, and we'll see where that leads him. But, on the outset, that's hard to imagine.
Okay. And just with Walker, after tonight, do you want to get him in an exhibition game?
I think it's just really, Jorge, just contingent on how he feels coming out of tonight. And, I know he's a day 2 bullpen guy, so he's going to have to throw his bullpen, and then we'll see where we go from there.
And just one last one. You mentioned the versatility, how important it's going to be this season, just given what may or may not happen. McKinstry's looked like a guy who's squaring off the ball quite a bit. He plays a bunch of different positions. Where does he sort of fall in your plans?
Zach's, he had a great initial spring, and he's performed really well the last couple of years. There's a lot to like. He's a baseball player, high baseball acumen, versatility. I like the left-handed bat. So I think, he's in play. And I think that, this more than any year, we're probably going to tap into more depth than we expect to. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Zach at some point in time.
Thank you.
Another question from Barry Bloom. Go Go ahead, Barry.
Hey, Doc, how are you?
Doing well, Barry.
Good. So for a team that relies so much on analytics over the course of a 162 game season, how do you make an adjustment to the 60 game season with an expanded roster? It would seem that with a shorter sample size that it's harder to do.
It is, and I think that that's a very, very fair point. But there's a track record, but certainly that matters. But yeah, when you're looking out, you're talking typically a longer view and a larger sample certainly helps that. So it's still like Barry, I think with anything, it's got to be a combo. It's the eye, what you feel, and also, some analytics as well.
Do you think you have to rely more on the eye under these circumstances in a shorter season than you do on the analytics?
I think that there's just a lot of different variables and situations, that you can kind of look at hitter versus pitcher, pitcher versus hitter, third time through, lineup configuration, workload mentioned. There's a lot of information, data, analytics, whatever you want to call it, that you'd have to kind of address each one. So I just really hard in a vacuum to say, what's the right answer?
But just finally, when I asked Torey Lovello this question, he said that usually what you guys do, not the Dodgers, but what he does is that they use the 2019 analytics and matchups much of the first month of the season, and then start relying on the newer analytics once you get through like 20 or 30 games. But in this case, you're going to be through half a season when you get through the first month of the season.
Yeah. I just think that, right now with where guys, how they prepared, it's just going to be it's an unknown. And I think that all information is good, but certainly seeing how guys get off to a slow or hot start, it's been different. And there's been pitchers that have worked on different pitches through quarantine. So again, Barry, it's a combo, and I'm excited to see how this thing plays out.
Yeah, me too. Good luck with everything, Doc. Stay.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.